Hey guys, it's Mike the Wrestling Gat Smith, and you guys are watching All in Wrestling. This video was actually for the WWE releases, with me being Keith Lee, Karen Cross, a couple other people. I even Buddy Murphy, a couple other people that were there, and you know, I know I shouldn't say anything because this is Black Wednesday. Typical WWE problems, and this is the thing that I'm tired of this, and as a fan, and as like everything else that the WWE has done, I just I don't know at this point with this brand, because that means Survivor Series is gonna be bad. You know, I thought it was regular milk. And it bothers me. It bothers me as a fan to say this, but I don't get it. I don't get with WWE at this point, because it's the same problems that plague them every year, and it's like, I just I just don't get it at this point, because here's the thing. I don't get that we have a bunch of this company that is WWE, this giant conglomerate of people, and it's not Triple H, and it's not Stephanie, it's Vince, because Vince is at a time, and this is the point I really feel in the future of WWE, is that Vince is going to sell his company, and I just, because he can't keep up with everybody. He gives these guys so many contracts, and I'm like, bro, at the point, you keep giving, you gave up two big dudes that you could have made something out of, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not mad. I'm not mad that Only Lorcan is gone. I'm not mad that Velveteen Dream was gone. And to a sense, there's probably a whole mess of things that WWE is doing, and I'm not gonna scream about it, because I'm like, you know what? It's typical WWE. It's typical them. And this is the thing, is that as a fan, I'm gonna say something. As a YouTuber, I'm gonna say something, because you know whether or not people want to believe this, whether or not, and it's the same problem. Whether or not we want to admit that it is the same problem, it's the same problem, because it's Vince. It's because he can't get a big draw out of these guys, and you have all these people in your brand, and you have two brands with a bunch of talent. And the problem is, at the end of the day, the same problem that people that are older veterans are trying to leave now, because from Charlotte's point of view, she wanted to leave. Nia Jax, I'm not really surprised, because they tried to get rid of her before, because of the botched power bomb thing. And this is the thing that I look at the WWE right now, and I look at it just like I look at NXT, and I look at it like it's a I look at it like there's no there's no light at the tunnel for them, and to kind of dealing with, like I said, dealing with Charlotte Flair, aka Ashley Flair, dealing with her, I just I just don't see this ever getting better for them. They keep dropping guys. They did the same thing with Drake Maverick, but he's back. They did the same thing with Leo Rush. And the problem is it's the same problem that we've been having since the beginning of all of this, because thing is, WWE wants new people. The WWE wants a new brand. They want a new everything. And this is the thing that I don't think they're really doing it. I don't think, typically, because AEW hasn't fired anybody, because Tony Khan's not that type of person to do that. And I kind of get the reason with the John Moxley thing, and I get that they want him back, and I'm like, no. He said he'll only go back if he gets a crap ton of money and he gets creative control. And that's the problem. They get no creative control on their gimmick, their entrance, anything because Vince doesn't like it. And now that because AEW gives them creative control and they can rebrand themselves, that means they could go a whole different ball game. And the problem at the stage in the stage of the game is that Vince should be having creative control. Vince shouldn't have his own creative control. The wrestlers should be able to be free and do whatever they want to do. And that's the problem you're not going to get with this in this generation, this industry, because it's like everybody looks at the W as this corporate conglomerate, and I'm like, no, you've got NWA, you've got New Japan, you've got all these other places and Impact and all these other guys. All these other all these other people that they're trying to get. And this is the thing, and this is the thing I'm pretty sure that the Wrestling Observers probably went all over all this, but I really had to sit and think about it. Because the thing is, I look at NXT and I look at Raw and I look at SmackDown and I look at everybody that's in SmackDown right now. The only people that are probably not gonna leave is Roman Reigns, the Usos, the New Day, maybe Chad Gable and Otis are gonna stay because they're gonna stay. Liv Morgan is going to stay. A whole bunch of people, even Ember Moon's gonna stay because you know why she's gonna stay? She's gonna stay for NXT. She's gonna stay for that brand. And for the life of me, and I'm trying to understand this correctly, and I'm trying to get it, and I'm trying to put it together in my head here. I don't like the way things are. I don't like the way the WWE has been the last couple of years. I don't like that we've gotten consistently nothing for being fans. I don't like how the WWE, like when the WWE Network was cool, they wanted to give it to Peacock, which I would have been fine with that. But the problem with the WWE at this point is that everybody is still trying to do whatever. And this is the thing that I was getting tired of because they don't want to do anything about it. And this is the thing, because this gives a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, problems. Because we've only got about a year. And the thing is, if AEW somehow does it with their game and somehow pulls it off, because they're gonna pull it off in Full Gear this week, I'm just at my point, at my thing, at the thing I was thinking about, even with the 7 years when Punk was gone, and Punk even said in his thing that the problem with Vince and the problem with the WWE is not Triple H. It's Vince. It's the fact that they have no creative control, no freedom about it. It's the same problem. And the thing to me at this point, and I really think it's a Vince thing because it's not Stephanie. It's not none of the people that are there. And the thing is, it's because they keep getting fired. And it kind of shocks me and it kind of doesn't shock me. Because the thing is, like, NXT is not a bad place. It's not a bad place. AEW is not a bad place. But the problem with the wrestling industry, when it comes to these these Black Wednesday things, is that they keep releasing 200 people. Then they want to sign 200 more people. Then they want to sign another guy from another company. Excuse me a second, guys. I'm just trying to get my train of thought because I just lost my train of thought before my mom had to really explain some things. But as I've said, here's the thing. There's too many things going on right now. With the WWE. At this point. And because I see it and I look at it and I know it. And because I sit down and think sometimes. Because this is the thing, they don't have any freedom. And as a WWE fan, even when you're a wrestler being a fan, you can't. And I'm like, I like what they're doing with this thing. I like that Seth kind of comes in or whatever, and they got Brock trying to be the guy again, but that was the problem. You paid Brock, but you never fired Brock. You let him go. You let him do whatever he wanted to do because hand over fist, and I'm trying to use this word lightly, hand over fist, they're going to let him do it again because they're trying to get the highest draw out of people. And the highest draw out of people is this thing. And I'm just like, where do we go from here?
You put the memberships on hiatus, right?
I don't know. I guess not because he didn't uncharge me. I'm gonna email him and put him on cancel mine.
Because, like I said, I don't know where the future is going to hold for WWE, and I think it's going to happen that Vince is going to sell. I think he's going to sell it to somebody because it seems like Nick Khan can't work with Vince because Vince doesn't want to give up his thing. And I think unless they don't sell it, they got to give it to Trips. They got to give it to Paul. They have to give it to him. They got to give it to Paul Levesque, and I really think. I really think they should do that. I really think they should give it to Paul at this point. I think at this juncture in the road here, because if they don't, AEW is going to keep taking their talent, and that's what they're doing. They're taking them. And like I said, guys, I'm not trying to make this. I apologize. This is a long video. I'm just kind of explaining because everybody thinks that this is typical WWE. This has been typical WWE for 2 years now, and I'm like, you know what? And the problem is they don't even do it face to face. They always do it in a backstage thing or story goes out, and which is not wrong because Sportskeeda keeps up and Wrestling Observer keeps up. But the problem is nobody does it face to face. And I'm like, you know what? And I look at this thing, this giant that they've created, and I'm like, you know what, Vince, you're a good guy, you're a smart dude. But the problem with this whole situation, this problem is that we don't get anything from it. We don't. We don't get anything from it as WWE fans, as a universe that you keep calling us. You don't even call us a universe. This is the thing. You're trying to coin the phrase of all these different eras that you made, the business and the money. Yeah, you were the top giant because nobody wanted to take all these other guys. But now you got AEW 2021 going into 2022. In their third year, they're topping it again. And I'm just like, at this point, where do you go? Where do you go, Vince? Because I know you're not going to give it to Stephanie because Stephanie doesn't want to do it. She wants to be the chief brand officer, the COO. She wants to be the COO of the company because that way everything can run. Because if she can't get a draw, if they can't get a draw, then WWE's not making enough money. And it's not even NXT's fault. NXT is just another brand and another brand and another brand. And I like that they're trying with 205 Live and they're putting it on NXT, which is good. They need to stay. NXT UK should have brought those dudes from NXT UK in the draft. They didn't. And I'm sorry to say that because they want to think that NXT UK is a separate brand. It's not a separate brand. Because if that was true, why did they rebrand NXT UK? They wanted to rebrand NXT to 2.0, which would have been, which is not even a good idea because it's a comedy act. And I'm sorry to say this, guys, and I'm just gonna put this, and I hope you guys, like I said, when you guys watch my video, that I'm saying this one thing, and I'm probably gonna coin this phrase. WWE at this point is literally like Saturday Night Live. You got a bunch of cast members, a bunch of new cast members, a bunch of old cast members. Everybody is trying to get their skit on or whatever they're trying to do. And they want freaking Eva Marie to be something and she's not. Then they wanted Frankie Monet, which is Taya Valkyrie. And they couldn't figure her out because I already knew it was Taya Valkyrie because she's the only person I remember that was there. And I'm like, you know what? They still couldn't get it right. They had her in the palm of her hand, and she was only in NXT. She wasn't a draw. That's why nobody remembers Taya, because it's like, yo, what's the point? Then you look at guys who got fired, and basically they're all calm about it. They don't even care about WWE because they're like, yo, we can go to any other place on the planet with a contract that's a better deal that lets us go our own way, lets us spend with our family. And that's the thing. Vince didn't even want to think about that. You took Keith Lee and you tried to do something with Keith Lee, but the problem with Keith Lee was he had charisma, he had everything that everybody that they needed in a big guy. And the thing is, they want to make Odyssey Jones the next Mark Henry. It's not gonna work. It's not a business thing, and I keep telling people it's not a business thing. This is Vince saying, "Oh, we don't have creative control here. We don't want you to do what you want to do with your gimmick. It's our gimmick once you sign with this." And AEW's like, listen, it's your gimmick. I'm not gonna infringe on it. I'm not gonna tell you what you can't do. And that was why Punk went over there. Because it's been 7 years since we've seen him. And magically in 7 years in AEW in 2021 going into 2022 this year, AEW's consistently making more money than them. Consistently. And the problem is, and this is the thing with Vince's problem is, he's a guy that's been out of touch since friggin' 2011. He's out of touch. And I'm gonna use the gold bolt thing. If WWE was making money, then we would be happy. If they actually gave us what we wanted, instead of disappointing us or giving us what we want at the proper time. You waited till God knows whenever to bring back Edge. And at some point, he came back. What did you do? He was hot. He got us back into wrestling. That's what he did. You know what CM Punk did? Did the same thing, but he did it at AEW with a bigger stage in life. And then that's why they wanted to sign Kenny Omega. You couldn't sign Kenny Omega because he wasn't built for that. Because you're not going to let him get his own thing. You're not. He'd rather be in the freaking indies and being in the trades and do whatever he wants to do. And the problem is, at the end of the day, they still can't do it. So as I'm saying, as my last point, this WWE firings, these WWE firings are basically a waste of time. You just want to fire people to kind of bring in some new people instead of telling people straight up and be like, listen, your gimmick's not drawing us. You might have to change it or we can think of something. No, because you got freaking people that don't know how to run a company. You have Vince, you have Bruce Pritchard, you have literal Bruce Pritchard, that guy. You have Bruce. You have him. You have Kevin Dunn. All these creative dummies that don't... And you got all these dudes that are former wrestlers that are in the company. You got Road Dogg. You got him. You got Finley as a guy. You had him. And the funny thing is, when Pat was around, when Pat Patterson was there, WWE was at its point. They had an angle. They had every angle they needed to cover. Now they don't even know what they want to do. And the problem is with this brand split thing that they're trying to create again, they want to make Raw a thing. They want to make SmackDown bigger. They want to go on the 205 run. And they can't do it because there's not enough cruiserweights to do it. And because I've said this before, and I've said this the first time I started doing this stuff, and I said this before when I watched it. I said it to you guys months and months and 2 years ago. I said this. I said one or two things are gonna happen when Keith Lee gets to the main roster. They're gonna make him look like he's an idiot, and they did. And that's why you don't see Mia Yim, who was fantastic, who had her own gimmick, and they took that gimmick and put her in the Retribution angle. Same thing with Martinez, with Mercedes Martinez. They couldn't do anything with her, and she was good. And what's going to end up happening with Raquel, even if they do put her in Dakota in the main roster, the problem with those two, they don't know what to do. And because I'm surprised Shotzi didn't get fired. Because here's my thing. And I'm also going to say this too. Because they don't, this is why. This is why the WWE consistently fails every year. This is why they're not getting the ratings draw that they usually get, like 3.4, 4.3, 6.3 in the ratings war. And they don't. And the problem at this stage at the juncture, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, is that the people will not understand, the people won't get it, the people won't cry for it, and because the problem is, as WWE fans, we cry for so many things. We want change, and we don't get it. We always get the John Cena thing, and John Cena will come back and do whatever he wants to do because literally they can't say no to John Cena. So if John Cena didn't make it, Roman would have been like, yo, I'm good. I don't need to fight you with Money in the Bank. I don't need to fight you at SummerSlam. I don't need to do it. Because the problem is, this is the thing. John Cena could come back, and that's the problem. John Cena could come back because they don't care. Because consistently they don't care. The WWE does not give two craps about their fan base, about anything they want to do with them. And it's a slap in the face. It's a slap in the face because, you know why it's a slap in the face? Because literally, if I'm thinking about this, and I'm not trying to be yelling as much, I'm just saying it's a slap in the face because we look bad. That's why we don't buy their merchandise. That's why all AEW guys, or we go to AEW shows, because they actually give a shit. And because for some reason they want to sit there and think, right? Think in their minds that it's okay. I've seen things happen. I've seen things change. I've seen things fight. I've seen things that the WWE should have brought back in some way or shape or form, and they don't. They try to appropriate certain things, like the WCW thing, and like everything that WCW owns, they shouldn't have appropriated it. And because I look at it like this. I looked at it 5, 6 times a year, and I look at it a lot of times like kind of like movies. You look at like the WWE is like a movie. Comes out with so many sequels, so many sequels, so many things, and then you get to the point where it's because everybody. It's because you got a box or something. And that's the thing. And I look at it like this. Because the thing is, I look at this world and I look at it like, sorry guys, I look at it like this. Because this is the thing, and this is what I was trying to say to people years ago, and this is what a Wrestling Observer has been saying, but I'm gonna put a spin on it. That Wrestling Observer, he knows what he's talking about. Brian Alvarez, Vinny, Craig, the rest of them, the Mike guy, Mike's Sanders, I think his name is. They know what they're talking about. But what I'm saying, guys, is Mike the Wrestling God Smith. As what I'm saying, as All In Wrestling, as the YouTuber of All In Wrestling, I'm saying this. Because as fans, we don't have to put up with this, bro. We don't. And whether Vince wants to admit it, this dude can get his pockets wet or whatever he wants to do. That's why probably in another year, probably in another 3 years, WWE's going to cease to exist. Because nobody's going to want to sign. Everybody only wants to sign because they can go to NXT. That's the only reason they're going to sign. That's the only reason. And the guys like Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, those dudes should have went to main roster years ago. And they didn't. Because for some bloody reason, they like being in Tampa. They like being in the area. Because, in a sense, they probably wouldn't have fit on there. Because you know why they're not gonna go? Because the thing is, Johnny Gargano is a commodity. Swerve is a commodity. Because that's the thing. Because like I'm saying with the firing thing, guys, and this is my ending point, is that as fans, we don't got to take this. I said the same thing with the WWE 20 thing. I said the same thing with them getting rid of people. I said that with Drake Maverick. I said that with Velveteen Dream. I said that with all these guys they got rid of. With Leo Rush when they just said, you know, bye Leo. And as I've said, guys, this is my ending point. As WWE's fans, we don't have to take it. We don't. But anyway, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Peace.